Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabala Labha Girivaradhari Gopi Janabala Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravasari Yamuna Tiravasari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janabalava Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janabalava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravasari Yamuna Tiravasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paramahansa Saraswati Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koda Vaishnava Ki Namacharya Shri Haridasa Thakur Ki Prem Se Host Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopina Sham Kunda Radhakunda Gaurani Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki, Ganga Maya Ki, Yamuna Maya Ki, Tulsi Deva Ki, Bhakti Deva Ki, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki, Lord Chaitanya Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Hatmadanga Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki, Shri Shivanitai Ki, Shri Shinitai Satyasutra Ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki, Shri Vadapara Shishwara Ki, Adora Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to the assembled devotees. Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastachare Shatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Are we reading text number 11 this morning? So the text number 10 does not have a purport. So we'll read 10 on to 11. Api sarve kushalena putra manasini lakshaye svastamatmanam bhavatya lakshanaram. O great-minded lady, are all your sons faring well? Seeing your withered face, I can perceive that your mind is not tranquil. How is it so? It's a common English saying, and I would assume in French a similar equivalent. The mind is the face rather is the index of the mind. You understand what that means? What does it mean? The face is the index of the mind. What does it mean? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, of course, some people may be very good at, let's say, disguising, putting on a mask, putting a show, trying to hide, cover up what's inside. This is for the reason people may, try to do that. But in general, do you have in French a similar saying? The face is the index of the mind. Oh, really? You could, by somebody, you could maybe by their bodily movements, you can understand also. It's an art of understanding what's inside. It's one of the sciences. By seeing the outside, you can understand what's inside. Of course, not everyone can do that, but in general, there's something there. In this particular case, Aditi is not looking at all her noble self. And she has good reasons also, from a mother's point of view for sure, to look so disturbed. And especially if you know somebody, it's usually quite easy to tell, isn't it? If you know them, If you don't know them, you may not really know, because you can't necessarily compare it unless it's obvious. But here's obvious Kashyapa Muni can see that his wife is wrong. Something's wrong. You know, you come home at night. You can see something's wrong, huh? Right? Or the husband and wife come home at night and the other partner can see something's wrong. What's happened? First thing you say, what's happened? What's wrong with you? Isn't it? You're going to say the word, right? Yeah. Whatever. What's wrong with you? What's happened? I've done something wrong. The first thing you may think, maybe I've done something wrong. Hopefully not looking at my mobile phone or something. That's a typical response. I can perceive that your mind is not tranquil. So just like the facial expressions, withered face, withered face. You know the word withered? You know what withered means? Who can say in French, withered? Like shrunken, and, you know, yeah, you know. Look up exactly what's the French word for withered. Yeah. Dried up, yeah. Dried up. You know, the person gets dried up, huh? You're very dry. No juice left. You've lost aura. Is that? What does it say? No, it's the wrong word. Look it up. He knows how to spell it. Look it up. No, that's different. That's called wizard. Withered. Huh? What is it? Hmm? Sexy? Flattery. Not flattery. You get the idea? Right up. Kind of like shrunken. Like a river dries up, you know? Pick it up. Anybody else? Shiyaditiruvacha Bhadram Dvija Gavam Brahman Dharmasyasya Janasya Cha Trivagasya Parang Kshetram Grihamedin Grihaime. Like a song, you know. You got to sing in tune, isn't it? I mean, many times devotees, they don't sing in tune, and it kind of throws the whole thing off, huh? It's so try to. This is also. I mean, the Bhagavatam is sung. It's not just, you know, some words, you know, you just say. It's actually sung. Bhagavad Gita is sung. Gita is a song. You know, not that we're, you know, expert musicians or poets or orators, but there is some kind of tune or meter there. Try to follow it. Dhanastai did pretty well. Anybody else like to have a crack at it? I bet the ladies' side. Come on. Shri Aditir Uvacha Bhadrang Dvija Gavam Brahman Dharmasyasya Janasya Cha Trivarg Param Kshetram Himedin Grihaime. A nice pronunciation, but not quite the tune. I put everybody off now. Nobody will want to even try. You're too shy. Even Mandakini is getting word. never mind. You keep practice makes, well, I don't know if it does. It doesn't always seem to, but it should make it perfect. Some do it after 40 years, they're still singing tune. The secret is careful hearing and repeating what you hear. Listen carefully, and as you hear, try to absorb it. And with this song or tune in kirtan or verse, you can sing along with it as the devotee or whoever it is singing or reciting the verse like that. Okay, we'll go on. Shri Aditi Vacha. Srimati Aditi said. Now, just to recap, not recap exactly, but just to remind us, most of you are quite familiar. Who is Aditi? Where is she actually? Where is our God's sister Aditi? Where is she now?
She's either in America.
Is she in America?
Alachua or in Hawaii.
Alachua or Hawaii?
She goes from one place to the other.
Back and forth. She was here, right? She was here in France?
Yeah, she joined in London.
London, yeah.
Then she went to Switzerland.
Switzerland, that's where I know her, yeah, Switzerland. But she came here also?
Yes.
Back and forth. Aditi, wonderful devotee. So, who is Aditi? In this particular section, this section of the Bhagavatam is the Payovrata process of worship, which will be described after some time as a solution to the problems. Every problem is an opportunity. Every problem is, what can we say? It may be hard when we go through difficulties. We may not see or understand what's going on here. But for a materialistic person, it may be an opportunity to, what do they say? Failure is a pillar of success or something. It may be an opportunity to grow. But for a devotee, what opportunity does a failure afford? What opportunity? Or in this case, we see she's very morose. Prabhupada didn't like to see his disciples morose, right? Many times he writes about that, Devotee is never morose. If we're morose, that means we're not really at least at that moment, we're not actually in the mood of a devotee. Prabhupada was very happy to see his disciples bright-faced, he would say, bright-faced. So he didn't like, none of it. When you see someone who's very morose, especially someone who's close to us, it's a little disturbing, isn't it? You kind of feel, oh gosh, what's wrong? It's like you don't feel very comfortable when you see, somebody close to you. You may not know what to do, it may be awkward situation. So, but here we see Aditi. Now, who is she? The mother of the demigods, and also what is she? The wife of Kashyapa, who is a rishi, a muni, Kashyapa Muni. He's spiritually elevated, spiritually elevated soul. And we read in the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know, has anyone read the Bhagavad Gita? Anybody here read it? You've distributed it. We've read it, but again, the word read, meaning reading, not so much red color. Reading It's like singing, are we actually, reading, or are we digesting? Is it having an effect? Yes, we can say for sure. But how much of an effect? How deep is it going? How will it go deep? The subject we read is the song of God. It's not just a philosophy which is very interesting, something to think about. No, this is the song of God. Many of you read a version of the Bhagavad Gita before you met the Hare Krishna movement, right? India, you would have probably read in different language. But in the West, when we were, probably you were in the same boat, probably in the late 60s, early 70s, the Bhagavad Gita was becoming quite, let's say, common on, not in general, but on a certain area. It became quite available, and different versions were there, different personalities, some from the West, some from the East, had produced English translations or versions of the Bhagavad Gita. It was becoming a little known, especially mostly amongst students, young people. There was a wave, the Beatles, one of my close friends just put something out about being in Rishikesh. You may have heard of Rishikesh. You've been in Rishikesh, very famous holy place, now a very famous tourist resort. Not always for the right reason. But in those days it became popular because the Beatles went there. And I was just looking at it and just seeing, Indra Dundamash goes there every year with a big festival in February or March or something like that. And hundreds and thousands of young Westerners come and take part. No? Very popular amongst the Westerners. The Beatles really popularized Rishikesh. Mahesh Yogi was famous guru sitting there, so-called guru. And I was just looking to see, where is this map? I looked. One of the first things I saw was the Beatles ashram, it said. There's a building there called the Beatles ashram. And then the Beatles Cafe is a whole area dedicated to the Beatles, of all things. They're in Rishikesh. Novelty, tourist attraction, whatever you want to call it, but it's not what it really is meant to be. Now, why did we come on to that? It's a good question. I can't remember. Yeah, I know I was speaking about Aditi, but what did Aditi got to do with the Beatles? Huh? Bhagavad Gita, okay, Bhagavad Gita, yeah. How much people are getting out of it? Something's there, but it's mispresented, huh? If you ask some of the directions, and they give you the wrong direction, even though they've got the book, they misinterpret the map book, it's not going to help much. In fact, it's better you don't give any directions. You lose your faith in the map book. It didn't work. Then again, if they give directions and you don't follow them, whose fault is that one? Whose fault is it? Is it the map book? Is it the person who gave us the direction? Or is it our fault? We don't follow it. So whose fault is it? Yeah, of course, if the directions are wrong, everyone's at fault. But if the direction is correct, we don't follow it, we change it. Well, that's not what it means. When he says right, he actually means left. He's from France, I'm from England. It's the wrong side of the road, You've got to follow. Yeah. Who are we to say? We can't make the law. So this is the song of God. But how much are we really... the point was here, what I was getting to was that Diti is very disturbed. Why is she disturbed? Why is she disturbed?
Because all the demigods, they fled from the Hellenic planets.
Why?
Because of the demons taking the power there.
Yeah, because they've basically been defeated. Not physically at this point maybe, but they've been defeated by the demigod, by the demons. So so what? Isn't it that one should be undisturbed, according to Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? In success and failure, happiness and distress, etc., isn't it? Aren't we supposed to be equipoised? Why are you so disturbed? From a spiritual point of view, you could say there's not really a cause of disturbance, but why was she so disturbed by it? What's she got to do with the demigods? Huh? Yeah, they're her sons. Of course she's going to be disturbed. Even great devotees. I mean, we see Arjuna when his son Abhimanyu was killed. Was he totally undisturbed? Was he completely, so what? That's life. Everyone's got to die sooner or later. Right? No, well, he was disturbed. And now he's an eternal associate of the Lord. So it's not surprising she was disturbed. But what to do about it? So let's see. Aditi said, in reply to her husband, who's inquiring, "Why are you looking so disturbed? Oh, my respected Brahmin husband, all is well with the Brahmins, the cows, religion, and the welfare of other people." Though she's very disturbed, she's still, in one sense, very equipoise is not the word, but very conscious. She's not like mad. Sometimes people go into a madness, you know what I mean? And they lose something and they lose all control. Their intelligence is completely lost, isn't it? They go into a frenzy. Huh? Frenzy, you know this word? Frenzy? Frenzy, what's that in French? Frenzy. You're learning a few English words here. Frenzy. 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 Yeah. Oh. Huh?
Yeah, okay, I'm just on another planet, sorry.
Fenugreek. What does that mean? Out of control. Out of control. Out of control. You know, you lose control. You can't. When somebody loses, you can't reason with a person. You can't philosophize. You can't calm them down. They're like lost. You know. They're just like a wild almost. Huh? Discombobulated. Is that what it means? I remember the word, but I can't remember what it means. Yeah, I know, but I can't remember the meaning. Delirious? Yeah, in another word is delirious, which could be possibly used. Delirious, so that may be incited by other things too. Person's delirious. But yeah, they're like that. They're out of control. You know, they go into a frenzy. So she wasn't like that. Look at her words. All is well with the Brahmins. She's very kind of philosophical about it. Quite amazing, huh? Analytical, philosophical, sort of intellectual, whatever. All is well with the Brahmins, the cows, religion, and the welfare of other people. O master of the house. He's also addressing her husband as the master of the house. What word is used for that? I don't know. Anyway. Griha maiden, O my husband, who are attached, a little different in the word for word. Oh, my husband, who are attached to household life. Oh, master of the house, the three principles of Dharma, Artha and Kama flourish in household life, which is consequently full of good fortune. You see this type of, can we say, relationship, reciprocation in discussing points of, say, similar thing you could say with Dharma, the bull himself, and Mother Cow, huh? When they're discussing, or when it's, who is it who comes along, Parikshit Maharaj, huh? When he asks, what's the problem, what's happening here? You remember that in the first canto, Bhagavatam? And they start to, Mother Cow, isn't it? She starts to philosophize as to why the situation, what's going on here, what's happening. And here we see a similar thing, trying to understand what's going on. It's not always so easy. Dharma is very, very hard to pin down, because in different time, place, and circumstances, with different types of persons, and there's like karma, there's just so many other factors involved. What is necessarily applied dharmically here is different there. It's a great dilemma sometimes to know what to do and what not to do. Because Dharma is not just a set of codes, it has a purpose behind it. The purpose behind all of this is much higher than just to adjust things according to our perception, but to change our perception, to be able to see things from a higher perspective, from a deeper perspective. Just like the Bhagavad Gita, different persons will have different interpretations as to what the purpose of the Gita is. Some people have radically different interpretations. In fact, philosophically completely wrong. But that's how it is. Why? Because we're looking at it from our own condition, from our own perspective, our own perception. Everyone's got a different perception, isn't it? What do you think? You had a lifetime of experience. Even amongst devotees, isn't it? It's very much so amongst devotees. You all sit in the class, everyone has a different impression, right? Some will say, fantastic class, they'll think, that class is terrible. Even with Prabhupada. I mean, we've all read, if you've read any of the memories of Prabhupada, sometimes people had a totally different perspective. Obviously the devotees are always enlightened, but some people had a completely negative response, because they're seeing it through their own perspective. Natural. Something which we're very close with, like Aditi, her family, her children are very close to her. Now, how do you feel about that? You could say, oh, that's a very nice tune. Oh, this is an excuse to leave the temple. What the heck? Why don't they turn their, I don't know what it was, a mobile. Why don't they turn their damn mobile off? Oh, what a shame I left my mobile on. Different people will see the same thing very differently. Right? Someone else, they may not care less. They may not know what it is. And someone over the road, they don't even hear it. Maybe you didn't hear it too. Maybe you were asleep. Everyone's different, Cockroach. I don't see many cockroaches around. Where have they gone? What's happened? It probably doesn't, I don't know what, it probably doesn't mean anything. I don't know if it registers in their hearing. Everyone hears it differently. I mean, the sound is the same, in one sense, isn't it? But we have let's say, it resonates differently with different people. The same thing with a statement. We might feel threatened sometimes by something someone says in class. Why?
It's touching our false ego.
Yeah, that's like putting it in a capsule. You can describe it in a little bit more flowery language, but basically it's touching our but it doesn't always have to be, it depends what's said, but generally that would be the case. It's touching our false ego, which means we're identifying with something which we're not, or which we shouldn't do, and it's like, ooh, you know, you got a false body identification, or some attachment or something, you know, or whatever it is, you know, some perception, something or another's there. There may be other angles, but basically somewhere along the line, the false ego is the soft spot, isn't it? It touches your soft spot, sensitive point. Right? It's like, you know, if you've got a wound, a little sore, and if I press you there, you don't feel, it's just nothing, but I press on that wound, ah! Right? Ah! And, you know, we've all got something inside there. So how to, well, let's finish the purport. And did we read the full verse yet or not? No, we didn't quite finish it. The three principles of Dharma, Artha and Kama flourish in household life. Oh yes, we did, you're right. Which is consequently full of good fortune. From, now, different angles again there. Is it really full of good fortune? What do you think?
From the standpoint of Sanatana Karma, not much, but relatively, yes.
There is good fortune. For a devotee, there's good fortune. Materially speaking, is Dharma, Artha and Kama, is that really good fortune? Well, you could say that if it's followed according to real Dharma, scriptures, the same thing with the Bhagavad Gita, if we really apply it properly, although we may still have our attachments, we may still have our misconceptions, but we're following the direction, then there's a chance it will lead to what is really good fortune. What is good fortune? To win the lottery? To have, you know, fill your stomach up as much as you can with a favorite food, to have lots of boyfriends or girlfriends, be famous. What's good fortune?
Remember Krishna?
Well, that's yeah, that is, of course. Any other ways of saying it? Huh? Satisfaction, yeah, people would see it like that. Satisfaction, and so it's related, of course. Materially, people would see, that's good fortune. I have nice children, I have a nice home, I've got a house, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and my family we're all together, and, you know, there's a pretty peaceful place we stay in. Good fortune, you're very lucky. Isn't it? Materially. So there, good fortune could be said there. You're very satisfied, your desires are satisfied, but real good fortune, how long does that last? Huh? Not very long. Sometimes only a moment. Huh? Is related to a material circumstance, which is not eternal. It's always changing, and because our perception, or let's say our attachments, are for the temporary, then the result which we get is also temporary. So, what's really good fortune? And the purpose of Dharma, even Artha and Kama, in the regulated Dharma, it may be without knowledge at that point of time, it may be, without any real understanding practically, when it's just accepting a path of religiosity, if it's bona fide, but it can gradually lead to another level, you can say, another understanding. What is that? Well, we can put it in terminology here, and Prabhupada, I think, does here. Yes, he does. In household life, one can develop the three principles of religion, economic development, and sense gratification according to the regulations given in the Shastras. That means according to scriptural direction. It's not just whimsical. One follows the direction of scripture. Talking here of household life because Aditi and Kashyapa are householders. So it's according to, you follow the religious directions, which are given by God. So it's Krishna's directions for, it's like in a prison house, will you be released if you do what you want? Try to. You may like to punch people in the face. That's probably why you ended up in prison. But if you continue to punch people in the face in the prison, will they let you out? I don't know if they might do these days, I don't know. Normally they wouldn't let you out. Right? Because you're still, a criminal. You're still misbehaving. So, the idea is that you're supposed to be regulated. They try to control your misbehavior. So Dharma's a little like that. It's meant to control our misbehavior. That's one of its factors. We may accept it, we may not like. Or we may change it, which is often the case, isn't it? If you change the rules. The prisoners get together. Let's change the rules around here, okay? They don't like these rules. We have to, stay in the cell, and we have to wear these clothes, and we have to do this, and we only eat that. And they do. They sometimes have a revolution in the prison house, right? What do they call it? And the prisoners revolt. There's a word for that, isn't there? Yes, I think there's, I don't know in French, I think in English there's a word. When the prisoners, they all get together and they all go on the rampage, and they beat the prison warders and smash everything and try to break out, Sometimes happens. Maybe not so wild as that, but in one sense that's going on. I mean, oh no, we don't need, we don't want to follow that. We'll take what we like and reject what we don't like, or interpret it differently. Change it. And what happens obviously is you get punished even more when you're caught. That's even worse. Changing the word of God is worse than not even accepting it. Sometimes we hear better be an atheist than be, well, I don't know exactly what, but somebody who changes the teaching of the Lord, misinterprets it. Very dangerous, because people don't know. Most people are in ignorance. They're simpletons. But you can, in the Grihastha ashram, it says here that one can develop these three principles according to religion or regulation, not wild. So regulated, all the scriptures. Bhagavad Gita also talks about the regulated principles of freedom, isn't it? Whatever level you're on, there are regulated principles of freedom. Even if you're advanced, there are still regulations. Oh, that was good you looked at the clock, 9 o'clock. Okay. Bhakti Shastri, this is not Shastri here, this is Bhukti Shastri. Bhukti and Mukti Shastri down here. He's going for Bhakti Shastri. The real one, bhakti. We're doing bhukti and mukti down here. Huh? He's going for bhakti. What about breakfast?
Yeah, I take breakfast now.
Oh, you're taking breakfast first. That's the Bhakti Shastri, the breakfast? Off you go on. Oh, okay, you're liberated. But to attain liberation, next verse, look at the next line. I haven't read it. But to attain liberation, one must give up household life. Oh, my goodness. That's a hard one, isn't it? Like I said, there'll be some hard words here sooner or later. You have to give up your household life. Come on. Come on, Gopalananda. You have to give up your household life. You want liberation or not? Are you 50 years old? Are you reached 50 already? Panchasodvam Vanam Prajet, have you reached 50? Doesn't understand what I'm saying. Hey? Oh, he's beyond renunciation. Transcended already, okay. One has to give up household life and place himself in the transcendental renounced order. There we go. Any grihastas here? Any grihastas here? Okay. Everyone else has already renounced. Of course, for a devotee, I was reading this morning a book by Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Bhakti Aloka. You read that one?
No.
Bhakti Aloka. Bhakti Aloka. You read it? Basically a book of quotes from a Shastra, that's all, on various subjects. It's an extension of the nectar of instruction. Just for Achahara Viharscha, or, yeah, the verses from the nectar of instruction. You know. What's the first, not Vashovegam, but the next one. What's the next one? It's until Achahara Viharscha. Long time I haven't read it. Yeah. And he's talking about, the 6 favorable, unfavorable, characteristics for devotional service, and quoting from all different shastras, Prajalpa, Niyamagraha, and so on, quoting from the various, shastras to, let's say, develop these statements from nectar of instruction. And if someone wants to run up, I can read a little bit about household life, what he said, and what it means about renunciation in household life. Don't get too depressed now about this statement, because it has to be understood what liberation means and what is a transcendental renounced order. Kashyapa Muni was not in the renounced order of life. Therefore he is addressed here once as Brahman, spiritually elevated, I guess, and another time as a Griha maiden. A Griha maiden. What's a Griha maiden? What's a Griha? Huh? Very attached in family life. Exactly. Someone who's very attached to their family life. Let's see. Where we were reading this morning, I don't know. Must be around here somewhere. Sadhu Vritti. Sadhu Vritti. I might not be able to find it. I don't know where it was. Maybe I was dreaming. I was so tired this morning, I may have been dreaming when I read it. I can't even remember reading this. This is ridiculous. I think it's here somewhere. Anyway, so be it. We'll finish the purport. A Griha maiden, one who is very attached to family life. Aditi, his wife, assured him that as far as household life was concerned, everything was going nicely. And the Brahmins and cows were being honored and protected. In other words, there were no disturbances. Household life was duly progressing. It's pretty hard to catch that one. Is it true that the reason she was depressed was because her sons had been... Is that true? Those who've been here, is it true? Yeah. So here she says household life is going very well. There's no disturbances. But interesting, huh? Very interesting. She seems, in one sense, very equipoised. The cows are being honored. This is household life. The Brahmins are being protected also. Everything's going nicely. The fires, we'll read that tomorrow. I'll see if I can find this. It's a very nice statement on renunciation in household life. Here we are. I'll just read this. This is good to hear. The root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is... What's the root cause? What's the root cause of devotional service? You know what that means, the root cause? What's at the bottom of it? What's really, you say the source or the cause or the support. What's the root cause? Devotional service to Lord Krishna.
So, real identity. So,
the root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is the root cause, the causal. What causes devotional service? We are in the material world, in Grihastha life or whatever life we're in. And in the material world, there's the symptom of the material world. But what's the cause of devotional service? Now, yeah, but where is there devotion in the material world?
Only devotees.
Association of devotees is the root cause. We're stuck in the material world in the three modes of nature. You're inside like a bull. You can't see outside of it. Now how do you understand or even know the way out? You don't know anything else exists. That's all we know. You're stuck in a deep, dark well, as it said, the Griha and the Kupa. Dark well.
I was wondering, Aditi is calling her husband Griha Medi.
Yeah.
It sounds a little offensive.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the
she knows the philosophy.
You're just a Griha Medi. But she also called him Brahman, which is like, spiritually elevated. Spiritually inclined, attached Grihastha. Yeah, the wife is never meant, by the way, to criticize the husband. It's one of the first principles in Grihastha life. You never criticize your husband. Right? And the husband should never argue with a wife. You never win anyway, even if you try. So, yeah, it sounds, but these are terms which have obviously everything that's spoken in the Bhagavatam is very, it's not just like an ordinary conversation between village people and, who've lost control of their senses and overwhelmed with lamentation and, you see a bit of that now and again, but mostly in the Bhagavatam, it's really, I mean, what can we say? It's to help us to rise above the modes of nature. So in this case, Aditi in one sense is, you could say indirectly, preaching to her husband. But she's preaching to all of us that you may think I'm following religious principles. You may think I'm, whatever. But there's still a bit of that in all of us, this attachment to a comfort zone or misidentification or attachment to certain rules and regulations. Even a Griya may be attached to rules and regulations, even though they may be ordained by Scripture. They're still blocked. They're still attached to, piety. They're still attached to rituals. They're attached to yagyas, other than Sankirtan yagya. That attachment's there. There's still attachment. Why? Because they want some relief. They want material elevation. They want freedom from suffering. They want some material returns. That's also is not really the real essence of Grihastha. Even the desire for liberation without Krishna consciousness, at least from a devotional point of view, is not the purpose of the Grihastha ashram. Purpose of the Grihastha is ashram. Ashram is a place to cultivate devotional service. It's not meant for sense gratification, although that's there in a regulated form, so we can gradually rise above it. There may be certain degrees of in Grihastha life, of course, of renunciation. But that's not the goal. It's just to release us from this mentality of being attached to this falsity, whether it's our own various endeavors or whether it's the physical form we have or objects of this world. We're very attached. We're attached to our so-called mundane knowledge. We're attached to our families, of course. That's the greatest, you could say, external attachment. We're attached to many things. We're attached to philosophy which fit our conditioning to some degree. For whatever reason, we're attached to so many things. These are all different forms, you could say. In this particular case, Agriya made him. The one may be even attached to having a nice family life. So many things attached to our children. It's normal. There's nothing wrong. But we have to, in a mundane sense, it's perfectly normal. And even in the progressive stage of human life, it's normal to different degrees. But ultimately, all this is illusion. It's an illusion. So to gradually wake up from the illusion, sometimes we may think we're doing very well, but then we don't realize we're actually very attached. We think that, we're well, everyone likes us, we're doing great, seems to be going well, I'm chatting my rounds, and I'm, coming to Mangalarti and what have you. And we may be attached to other things. We may be attached to be seen as a good devotee. We may be attached to other people recognizing us. Or the fruits that we get from that. Maybe from that we get some satisfaction, and it is a mixture of things, It's not pure. So she's kind of pointing out for all of us here, although you may be somewhat spiritually inclined, no doubt he's a sage, he's a Muni. But she's still addressing, because he's still in the Grihastha ashram, he's still got some attachments there. Why my wife is looking so, what's going on here, what's happening? Is some problem? So, there's something subtle there, it's a subtle one. It's subtle. One should associate. Out of all the process of devotional service, one should give earnest attention to the 5 limbs. I thought this was about... Oh, here we go. That doesn't mean the 5 limbs of the body. It means the 5 limbs of devotional service. Gradually one should diminish the following of prescribed rules out of obligation and cultivate spontaneous attachment. So this is about, also in Grihastha life, it's for both Grihasthas and Sannyasis, everyone. This is the point. Ultimately, when spontaneous attachment to the Lord is awakened, many prescriptions are automatically discarded and atonement becomes needless. If a person gives up all material desires and completely engages in the transcendental lovingness service of the Lord, as enjoined in revealed scriptures, he's never indebted to anyone. There's so many debts, especially in Grihastha life, you know. There's so many things that you have supposed to do. He's never indebted. He's transcended. Although the pure devotee does not follow all the regulated principles of Varna ashram, he worships the lotus feet of Krishna. Therefore, he naturally has no tendency to commit sin. Because all these rules and regulations are to free us from sinful mentality, sinful activity, sinful reactions, and so on. But one who fully surrenders to Krishna, he doesn't have any obligation at all. Devashu bhutatmarinam pitrinam. Does that verse go? Who knows it? Slipped my mind. He's no longer obliged to the family members, to the demigods, to anyone, because he's transcended. He's seeing things for what they are. Everything is Krishna's. Everything's going on by Krishna's arrangement, not by our arrangement. Karma is external. It's not, it's going on. We're seeing it, but we're not identified with it. Therefore, he naturally has no tendency to commit sin. If we get no attraction, what does that mean? Sin. What does sin mean? What does sin mean? It's a holiday today, by the way. It's a holiday. We're fasting, right? Holidays, you're fasting. Fasting from work. Well, you're supposed to be sleeping today. It's a holiday. What is a sin? Pardon? What? Yeah, that's what you could say. Well, it's because you wouldn't normally term it a sin, but it's got sin related to it for sure. But in terms of a more general understanding, what is sin? Yes, I am. Huh? That could be seen from a conscious perspective. Most people see sin in terms of a definite definition, in terms of activity, I suppose. But in reality, it's, as you say, it's anything which is displeasing, and that can be an offense also. But actions, or even thoughts, thoughts are the same in one sense, different in Kali Yuga in some ways, but in general they're the same, sinful thoughts. So what is a sinful thought? Yeah, sinful thought. Let's put it more in terms of our own situation.
A thought which is self-centered?
Yeah, trying, endeavoring or speculating how to satisfy me in the center. It's a sin. Prabhupada said the original sin is to identify oneself with what you're not. In other words, to identify yourself as anything but the servant of Krishna is a sin. And from that all other sins come. Is the root of sin, is this false identity, false ego. Is the root of sin. Of course you could identify envy of Krishna and envy of this and that, but the manifestation of that is this false identity. A Grihastha Vaishnava should not endeavor for any knowledge or renunciation other than knowledge of one's relationship with with the Lord in devotional service, and renunciation born. This is interesting. I'll read it again. A Grihastha Vaishnava should not endeavor for any knowledge or renunciation other than knowledge of one's relationship with the Lord in devotional service, and renunciation born from devotional service. Not imposed, but naturally born of devotional service, which comes naturally. You don't have to impose it. If one begins the worship of Krishna with special care and eagerness, then he achieves real good fortune or auspiciousness. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the path of speculation or speculative knowledge and renunciation is not very essential for devotional service. Indeed, good qualities such as non-violence and mind and sense control automatically accompany a devotee of Lord Krishna. They come naturally, Devarshi. What's that verse? Yes, yasti bhaktir bhagavad kinchna granai sava tatra samasita harava bhaktasya kato mahadgana mano. There they go. That for one who is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, all these good qualities develop. Qualities of the devas. Many qualities are there of the devotee also. They develop in the association of devotees, no matter what ashrams one is in. Doesn't make any difference. The principle is the same. There may be some details involved, but the basic principles are the same. Objective goal. If we make that goal of our lives to serve Krishna, all things will come. All the other qualities will come. It's getting late and I didn't really find what I was looking for, but never mind. Keep searching. Grihastha Vaishnav should constantly chant the holy names while carefully giving up the 10 offences. There goes Grihastha Vaishnava. And as you know, some of you do, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj gave 64 rounds as a regulated principle, generally speaking. Not always, but generally. And he particularly said that was for his grihastas. Yes. Not the renunciates, the grihastas. So the renunciates do not need to chant 64 rounds. They're already fully engaged. But the grihastas are so busy with griha maidi life that they have to chant 64 rounds so they don't waste their time. So if you wanted to get married, 64 rounds. Okay. It's changed a little bit now because wives work. We're a very unnatural lifestyle which we live, and so on. But he knew that most of them were not doing it, but he gave that as a target, so you had no time to waste. One Grihastha said, Guru Maharaj, I don't have time to chant 64 rounds. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, I know how much time you have. So much gossip. They didn't even have internet in those days. They had no mobiles, no WhatsApps, no Facebooks. So much time spent. So much time. Addicted to mobiles. Huh? Addicted. You know, Srila Prabhupada in LA, when Rameshwar Prabhu asked him, this is in the 70s, and a revolution machine had just come onto the market. It was called a telex machine. I don't know if you even know what a telex machine is. I can't even remember myself how it's so long ago. I'll give an idea, it might be not quite accurate. There was something called a telegram. Have you heard of telegram? You go to the post office and you give a message and they kind of type in. It's supposed to come out in a post office somewhere on the other side of the world. Well, the telex was a machine which you could possess, and you could type your message in there and it would come out on the other end. If the person had a machine, a telex machine, then he'd get your message. It was like a big revolution in communication. And Rameshwar was very excited about this because he could send a message himself without having to go anywhere, and it'd be accurate. The telegrams were often inaccurate. They were very badly. It was a very bad system. But the telex was supposed to be accurate. And so you could be in France and you could send a message to your mother if she's living in India or somewhere. But unlikely she'd have a telex machine. But anyway, if she probably didn't even know how to do any of these things. Just imagine, it was like a big breakthrough. So Rameshwar was thinking that, wow, this is really going to help us to communicate in ISKCON, and spread. And he said, Prabhupada, we said no. He said it will simply increase the gossip. So what to speak of mobile phones and God knows what, you know. And we're attached too. We're really attached to these things. You don't realize it, how attached we are, you know. It's like you're lost without your mobiles practically. Like an ant, you know, when you break the ant, you know, ants have this, like, you know, you put water there, they become completely bewildered. They don't know where they are, where they're going or anything. People are sometimes like that, lost. They go into a frenzy, that's the same word, and they lose their mobile. And it's just a small example, but of an attachment, which, of course, you can justify it, you can use it in Krishna's service, but it usually goes beyond that. It's usually a very great attachment. Sometimes we're afraid that someone's going to find it and see what's on our mobile. That's another danger or attachment sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't really go for the verse much today. I went round in circles, partly to keep myself awake. Hare Krishna. So a main point which we started with was learn how to digest the subject matter in a way which can be, let's say, for our good fortune, for our benefit. Same thing with food. What's the use if you can't digest it? Even if it tastes nice. What's the use if you can't digest it? Isn't it? You can get sick. Doesn't give you any good. It doesn't give you anything good, no fortune. You have to digest the food. The same thing with subject matter, whether it's Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, Dharma. As soon as, you know, you could give many examples, but we have to digest it. And digesting means it may be, you know, how to digest. Everyone's a little different. Same knowledge may be a little different for different people. They may not be ready to digest that. It's like a baby. I mean, you don't feed a baby, a 3-month-old baby, you know, come on, eat this halava. Come on, eat it up now. What's wrong with you? It's very nice. It's really tasty. The child can't digest halava at that age. No way. Child digests milk, isn't it? Mother's milk. If not the mother's milk, it's cow's milk, isn't it? Is it? Cow's milk they feed baby? Which is, I guess it's the closest to mother's milk, I don't know. You have to give them the right thing, otherwise they... Madhuseva Prabhu was just telling me in Italy, one vegan refused to feed their child milk, even mother's milk. Child died. They tried to feed it with oat milk and this milk and that milk. Child died. They're in prison now. You know, it's madness. You have to know the art of what is. It's like, even like Kriya Medi. I mean, at a certain time you may be able to say that, but you may not be able to say that at a certain time because the person's not ready for it. Instead of digesting it, it'll kill them. It may be good, it may be right knowledge, but it has to be presented in the, you know, way which is digestible. So whatever is relevant is presenting knowledge in a way which can be applied. That's also another lesson of Bhagavatam. It's like time, place and circumstance. When the time's right, then Vidura gave his brother the right sauce, you know. And everything has its time. But we have to digest whatever level we're on. We have to know what is relevant knowledge so we can progress further in our spiritual lives. Vedic culture was developed like that. It was arranged like that to help people to grow step by step by association. the right association at the right time. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll have a nice holiday. Where are you going today for your holiday? Oh, that's nice. South Village. Yeah. Oh, not too bad. Weather's not too bad. And you're lucky tomorrow, Mantakini, you can give class tomorrow morning. Yeah, you. Okay. Give us the mercy. The sweets. In every meal you have to have some balance there. Devotional service you have to have a little rasa, a little sweet as well. There has to be something we get a taste from, sweet taste. So Mother King Mata will give us tomorrow some nectar from her travels in India, or wherever it may be. Been in Tirupati, been in Rishikesh, Mayapur, Vrindavan. Where else did you go? Jagannath Puri. Where else? Went to Ayodhya. Didn't go there. You went to Rishikesh? Not this time. You didn't go so many places this time. Reminding us of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu wants to ask one question. He's asking if there is any reference in Srimad Bhagavatam regarding the mother of Garuda, Vinadai.
In the Bhagavatam? No, I don't recollect any references to the mother of Garuda, but I can't recollect any. It may be mentioned, I can't remember any recollection. Garuda's mother, is that what you said?
Yeah, she's because Vinadai is also one of the wife of
Pardon?
Kashyap Muni.
Huh?
Vinadai is also one of the wife of Kashyap Muni, because Kashyap Muni has 21 wives.
Oh, okay. So again, a reference to of Ganesh, did you say? Ganesh?
Vinata, reference to Vinata, the
The
mother
first-
of Garuda.
First what?
Mother of Garuda.
Mother.
Vinata.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could well be mentioned there in a list of his wives, but I can't remember. Whether it's the same one, I don't know. People do have the same name. Someone can, if you're interested in that, you can probably find out.
There is in sixth canto of Bhagavatam.
Sixth canto? What does it say?
It says Kashyapa, who is also named Tarksha, had 4 wives.
4? Yeah.
Vinata, Kadru, Patangi, and Yamini.
What's the names?
Vinata,
Vinata, that's the Vinata.
yeah.
Okay.
Kadru,
Hello?
Patangi, and Yamini.
Kashyapa.
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 Yeah, it's in the...
What about DT and Aditi?
It's not the same Kashyapa.
Pardon? Off you go. Go on. Off. This is not for you. This is a grihastha business going on here. Married life, it's nothing to do with you. How many wives? 4 wives, 6 wives, 100 wives, 1,000,000 wives. Even 1 wife. Whew, this really is an important subject matter. We have to really get to the root of this one. Everything depends on it. Whew. Everyone's looking on their mobiles, trying to find out. I don't know if it will affect my day very much, even if you do find the answer, even. I don't know. But it does appear that it says there that Vinata is a wife of Kashyapa Muni. Yeah.
He says maybe in Garuda Purana there may be much references regarding
In which Purana? Garuda Purana?
Garuda Purana.
Yeah, you find everything in the Puranas there. But, different ages, different times, different millenniums. Sometimes, things are different too. Different persons. There's probably others with the name Kashyapa, but you have to go through the genealogical table there to see which one you're talking about. 6th canto, huh?
It's Canto, the daughters of
Daksha's daughters, yeah. Not to worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll survive. Who? Kashyapa? You said 4. We said
yeah, this verse mentions 4, but there were also 13 other wives
13.
mentioned in the introduction of the
That's 17. Where are the other 4? Come on, you got to find those wives. Where are they? They're lost.
In fact,
This is,
the names of
huh?
the 21 are given as Aditi, Titi, Danu, Arishta, Surasha, Kasha.
Silence. This is a very important Shastric statement here.
See, he wants to say.
Is that from the Bhagavatam?
Not, that's what he is asking, whether these are mentioned in Bhagavad.
Yeah, well, where are you reading this from?
This is from the Wikipedia they have.
From where?
Wikipedia. Wikipedia.
Wikipedia? The Wikipedia.
So, encyclopedia website which gives the information about all the gods, everything.
Everything's there, is it? Well, we don't need anything else. We don't even need Wikipedia. Everything's there.
Bhagavatam.
Together with Google Guru and Wikipedia, you've got everything you need. Okay, that's... you're going to get different statements in different scriptures about different this and that, no doubt. Anyway, find it and tell us later on, okay? You spend your whole day looking for this. Yeah. So 21 wives of Kashyapa Muni. Jai. Jai. Now what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Now you know he's got 21 wives. We don't know who they are, but he's got 21 wives. What are you going to do? Huh? Gopalananda's going to grow more potatoes. What are we growing right now? You've got 21 wives to feed now, not one.
No, in fact, his question is, Garuda is serving Krishna.
Huh?
Garuda is one of
Who's serving? Ganesh?
Garuda.
Garuda. Oh, Garuda. I thought I said Ganesh. I got it wrong. Garuda.
Garuda.
Okay.
In Tamil, they say Garuda, that's what
Yeah,
he
yeah.
says. So, his question is why he is not, in spite of being the servant of Krishna, why he is not much mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Why is what not mentioned? Why is Garuda not mentioned?
Yeah, about Garuda, why he is not much mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, or moreover regarding his mother also.
He's mentioned quite a bit in various places, but his main service, because he appears in different forms, in different avatars of the Lord, and mainly we relate Garuda as the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Well, Bhagavatam, of course, there are many places where Lord Vishnu comes on his on Garuda, on the back of Garuda, but Bhagavatam is especially especially directed towards the worship of Krishna, the form of Krishna. And you don't see Krishna himself, in his original form at least, riding on Garuda. Although we see, even in the pastime of Kaliya serpent, that the Kaliya says, if ever you need me to carry it, Kaliya, some relationship, of course, with Garuda, it's not the same person. He said, if ever you want, usually Garuda carries the Lord, but he said, if ever you want me, just call me. So, and I'll come and carry you. So that Garuda is generally not manifest in Krishna's pastime as Garuda. He's present in Krishna's pastime. You see, of course, he's in the temples. There's a Garuda Stamba. But in Krishna's pastime, who is Garuda in Krishna Lila? Can't remember. He's in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Garuda appears there. I think he's got the same name, Garuda, one of the Lord's associates. And he appears along with the Lord in different forms. So you're just looking at the Garuda, the eagle form of the Lord. But he's an eternal associate of the Lord who manifests in various ways to serve the Lord in his different incarnations. And in the form of Vishnu, which is the one most common, because we're in the material world, and that's the way the Lord comes to us in general in this world, as the creator of this world, as Lord Vishnu. So if he appears usually on his bird carrier, Garuda, or that form, in the form of an eagle, whom we know as Garuda. But that same personality of Garuda can appear in other forms too, in other incarnations, or other avatars, let's say, or other forms of the Lord, other dimensions. It's not limited. He doesn't necessarily appear as Garuda in Krishna Lila or in Ram Lila, but he appear in other forms in those pastimes. You can sometimes find these. These are sometimes described in the Puranas also, or in other scriptures, describing their different forms in different leelas, or in different manifestations. Okay, I'm going to finish there. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You must be missing India already, Mandakini. Tirupati. Where's the laddu? Where's the laddu?
I bring tomorrow.
Oh, you do have some Tirupati laddu for everyone. Good. Tirupati laddu. Size of a tennis ball. Size of a tennis ball, or cricket. Size of a cricket ball in India. Cricket ball.
No, they reduced it.
Huh?
They reduced the size now.
Really?
Yeah.
It used to be the size of a cricket ball.